But now with all these moves again, Justin, to beef up the defense, do you feel like the outlying hole in the roster right now is the quarterback? Because it's either going to be Taylor Heinicke or Desmond Ridder, and we're about to get into that in a second. But I guess the question would be, do you believe Atlanta has a quarterback on the roster right now to compete? Because they, like you said, they in the NFC South, Saints, Panthers, Bucks, not going to be looking the greatest next year. As a fan, I know that. We're going to be good. We're not going to be great. And they think that they can take it into the division. Do you think there's a quarterback in that room for them to already compete? Not for a Super Bowl, but, I mean, at least a divisional appearance.
Yeah, and I think that quarterback is Taylor Heinicke, but I'll get to that in a second. Like, obviously, in terms of Derek Carr, you have the best quarterback in the division. I don't think that's a question right now.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that. YouTube will love that one.
And the thing is about that, if you look at the division winners year after year after year, typically the division or the team with the best quarterback in the division typically wins that division.
Right.
It's not really rocket science. So I suspect because, you have a tried and tested defense, a tried and tested head coach, as well as a proven quarterback who is, not to borrow Stephen A. Smith's words, but he is a true leader of men. I think you probably would be in the driver's seat to win that division right about now. So going back to the situation, I think Atlanta is indeed a quarterback away. Desmond Ridder, young, I think only has 4 starts. So if you think that this team is ready to compete immediately, then I don't think you go wrong. I don't think you go the route of Desmond Ridder unless or until Taylor Heinicke, proves to you during the season that he is not that guy. I think Desmond Ridder would have to have a way better off season for him to get the job. I'm going to have to go Taylor Heinicke. I think he has 25 starts, 33 total games at the position.
Did you know he's 30 years old?
Mm-hmm. He's
not a young kid. I did not know he'd been in the league since 2015. Undrafted free agent in Minnesota. That was news to me today.
He's an old quarterback, but tried and tested one, and one arguably who has been in Lambeau Field twice. Beaten Aaron Rodgers and the Packers once and almost beaten him the first time he went. This is a guy with a playoff appearance under his belt. I would have to think for Desmond Ridder to win this job, he is going to have to completely outplay Taylor Heinicke in the offseason, and I'm not sure that that's going to happen.
Yeah, quarterback camps and preseason and whatnot. No, I hear you there for Taylor Heinicke. Like I mentioned, 30 years old in the NFL. So I guess you could kind of call him a veteran, right? Undrafted free agent, to the Minnesota Vikings in 2015. He played college football at Old Dominion from 2011 to 2014. Had some pretty heavy numbers. 2012, 5,000 yards, 44 touchdowns, 14 picks. Followed it up with the next 2 seasons with 33 touchdowns, 30 touchdowns, close to 4,000 yards both of those years. 132 career touchdowns, 39 career interceptions. So he was putting up some numbers at Old Dominion, but clearly he was an undrafted free agent for a reason. He has, yes, beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau Field. And we remember when the Bucks went to the, I want to say that was the year the Bucks won the Super Bowl. The Bucks played the Commanders, or they were still the football team. And Taylor Heinicke actually was not even on the roster. I think a couple weeks before he actually became quarterback, because I can't remember which quarterback it was that ended up getting injured. Maybe Alex Smith again. And that's why Taylor Heinicke stepped in. And I think at the time, I thought he was a rookie, but we see him diving towards the pylon, playing against Tom Brady in that ridiculous Buccaneers defense, and just really, putting himself out there. I mean, I feel like that one play kind of showed everyone that Taylor Heinicke is a gamer. He would put his body on the line. He's not the greatest quarterback. I mean, we look at the couple of seasons he's had in the NFL, rocking a little bit above 60% completion. I think about 63%, 20 touchdowns and 15 picks in 2021, 86 passer rating with about 3,400 yards. Then you go to last season. I think Justin he just popped out, but we'll get him back in just a second. No worries. I think he just lost his connection. But talking about Taylor Heinicke versus Desmond Ridder on the quarterback one situation for the Atlanta Falcons. We'll see when we get Justin back here in just a moment. I think we just got him back in. Yep, there he goes.
Yeah,
all good, man.
Yeah,
no, you're good, man. No worries. You're totally good. But yes, then you look at 2022 with Taylor Heinicke. Carson Wentz was starting for the Commanders, I believe, in this past season. He had 62% completion, just under 1,900 yards, 12 touchdowns, 6 picks, but about a 90 passer rating. So it's kind of hard to judge what Taylor Heinicke is in the NFL. He does have that gamer mentality to where he will not be afraid to make those big plays. He's got some mobility. He's got a little bit of that new school NFL quarterback in him, but he's not going to be a guy, I believe, really, for the Falcons situation right now to step in and be that quarterback one. And knowing that, Desmond Ridder, speaking of him now, he was quarterback one on a lot of people's boards last year. I mean, we had Malik Willis, we had Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder. Obviously, he feels like a steal of the draft. They even say that when the Falcons take him. I can't remember if he was a day 2 or a day 3 pick, but the Falcons take him. And, people are like, this could really be a steal of the NFL draft. So you get into his profile a little bit, and this guy's got, good figure. Good build in the NFL. And it's, again, hard to take something away from his numbers, at least in the NFL, because he didn't even have 1,000 yards passing. Obviously, he didn't get the job actually until I think way later or about mid of the season. 6'3", 211 pounds, 32-inch arms, 10-inch hands. So that's definitely going to be something that is very favorable for a quarterback. 4'5", 240, 36-inch vertical jump for a quarterback, and a 10.7 broad jump as well. And we remember how we were freaking out about Anthony Richardson at the combine. That's not going to be the type of athleticism you're getting out of Desmond Ridder, but his numbers are definitely nothing to be ashamed of. And you look at how he played at some points with Atlanta last year. You looked in Cincinnati. This guy's an athlete. He's also a gamer. He's also a baller. And I think when you look at it, it's kind of ironic. When you look at Taylor Heinicke's play style, I feel like Atlanta went out and got him because Taylor Heinicke kind of plays similar, I guess you would really say. Desmond Ridder kind of plays similar to Taylor Heinicke. We mentioned he's been in the NFL since 2015. 30 years old. He's been actually, I think, with the Patriots a little bit, went to the St. Louis Battlehawks in 2020. Now he's back in the NFL, played with the Washington for a couple seasons. So like I said, air quotes around the word veteran earlier. But Desmond Ridder, hell of an athlete, hell of an arm. I really like the way he throws the football, just looking at some of his tape from Cincinnati, also from the time with the Falcons. I really appreciate how he can be shifty and mobile in the pocket. And I'll be honest, I see a little bit of Jalen Hurts in Desmond Ridder, and that's not even to throw out a hot take, but the play style is very similar. You're not going to get, elite leadership just yet out of Desmond Ridder. You're not going to get a very humble attitude, even though he was very grateful for being picked where he was, of course, and, told Atlanta on the phone, I'm bringing a Super Bowl to this city or nothing else. Like, I want to bring a title to this city. And of course, he might just be saying the right things, but Desmond Ridder actually being in Atlanta, again, it's not going to be exactly like Jalen Hurts, but the play style, the way he can be kind of shifty, I think the arm looks very similar to Jalen. I'm not going to overpromise anything for Atlanta fans, but I see why they're excited. Shout out to my boy Brun. Shout out to my boy Fred. I know y'all are very pumped about Desmond Ridder this year, and I really think y'all have a case, to be able to do that. Just taking a look at some of his numbers from Cincinnati. Let's see, 87 touchdowns through the air, 28 picks. So, pretty solid. 28 rushing touchdowns, though, in his 4 years at Cincinnati. And that's another good thing is you had a kid who played all 4 years at Cincinnati. You got a kid that's being in Atlanta now, really is respectful of the job. I think he's really going to appreciate what Atlanta's giving to him. And overall, had good college numbers, played solid football for the Bearcats. So if I'm a Falcons fan, I don't know if I'm confident that Desmond Ridder can get me to the wild card round right now, but you spent your money on him, has a pick. Taylor Heinicke, both of these guys, you really don't know what they are. You're going off a couple of seasons with Taylor Heinicke. Yes, he's got some starts under his belt in the NFL, but you're still a little curious about, okay, what could he do in a built system like the Falcons? The Commanders were just now starting to really come around with some of those offensive weapons, and obviously a Chase Young on the D line and Terry McLaurin really coming into his own. So it's going to be interesting what Atlanta actually has to do, like you mentioned, Justin, in camp, in the offseason, in these preseason games, to really decide the quarterback one. But you say Taylor Heinicke. I'm going to double down and say Desmond Ridder because they drafted him. I look at the athleticism. I think he's got a higher ceiling. And yes, maybe he's 5, 6 years younger, of course, 7 years younger, however old Desmond Ridder is, than Taylor Heinicke. But I really do believe that you spend that draft pick like you just obviously went for last year in the NFL draft, and you make him your starter. But the Falcons are going to be exciting next year, man. I think they really are. So I know you see me talking about that top 10 defense. What do you think? Do you think that's too much to say right now about Atlanta? Now they add Bud Dupree. You heard me, Jesse Bates, Caden Ellis, David Onyemata. Like, what say you, man? You're always the guy that can hit me with the knowledge. I want to know what you got.
It's too early, but again, what will help is that they're playing in what is right now a very offensively weak division. Like, I don't know that you're expecting Carolina and Tampa Bay, even your Saints, to put up big numbers. So I think that is going to help skew the numbers towards their favor, and you could see indeed top 10 defensive unit. You call some big names, but the thing is, I like to go with, as you know, I'm an old school guy, so I like to go with
Yeah.
tradition.
Yep.
And Atlanta does not have the tradition of great defensive teams. Like, when
Right.
you go through year after year
Very
after
true.
year, you've never really seen Atlanta traditionally have strong defensive teams.
Right.
And Arthur Smith, as you know, is an offensive mind.
Yep.
So it may take a lot for us to see that. The names help, like bringing in stuff in free agency. Hopefully, again, they're playing a very offensively weak division, so that may help to skew the numbers. And you may very well see it, but tradition and years tell me that Atlanta just probably will not produce a top 10 defensive unit. But hey, if they're going to win games, it's going to be on that side of the ball. That is for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I think the defense would definitely be about just a little over half of their contribution, like 55-45 defense offense for Atlanta. Cause I mean, they have some pieces on the offense, Kyle Pitts, obviously Drake London. I had them in a mock taking JSN at number 8, which I don't think is too realistic because they just really seem focused on defense, and they have Jonnu Smith that came in. So it's going to be interesting for the Falcons. I know that they might not get that top 10 status, but